Hello folks and fans. Welcome to another episode of Now We're Piping with Dr. Rockwood. Today I would like to talk about my favorite blends and something that I call a year-round blend. Basically it's a blend that you would enjoy smoking year-round. I'm wearing my green smoking jacket and I've got the sleeves rolled up and I just noticed that I've got these little threads kind of hanging off. Maybe I should take my lighter and just burn those off, but then again, this thing is pretty cheaply made compared to my black velvet one, so I don't want to risk setting myself or the house on fire. But I digress. So yes, okay. So let's jump in. Before I talk about my favorite blends, I'd like to talk about sort of a year-round blend, and the reason behind I bring this up. You find a lot of presenters out in the YTPC. This is my, by the way, before I get going, this is my Savinelli Sbardella Firenze pipe. I believe it's a second. There are other Savinelli stamps. It is stamped Sbardella Firenze. It was purchased at the Sbardella Tobacconist in Florence, and there, I believe, in Piazza della Repubblica. This thing was a lot like a Series 3, in which it was as pale as the skin on my hand. It was very white and very bare briar, and it was about this shade. And then over the years, after smoking it, it has patinaed beautifully, right? So if you compare, it would have blended in with the color of my hand here, as it were. And it really has patinaed beautifully. I believe it is a second though. But in it, I'm smoking the Royal Yacht by Paterson. And I'll talk about that in a second. So, when talking about a blend that people can smoke year-round, I harken back to Escudo for Mike from Briar Blues, or Dunhill's, now Paterson's, Elizabethan Mixture for Bradley from Stuff and Things. Now, of all the blends that I myself have been fortunate enough to try and also enjoy on a regular basis, there's 4 that I can confidently say are my favorites. Now, that doesn't mean that I can smoke them all year round. I'm very much a seasonal smoker, and what I mean by that is that I definitely lean towards particular blends depending on the time of year. Now, that's not uncommon. People will migrate towards Virginia blends in warmer weather and heavy English blends in the colder months. And again, like I said, that's very normal. People tend to do that. It's very popular. It's a very popular opinion. And I'm no exception to that rule. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my favorite blends. The first one, Paterson or Dunhill Standard Mixture. All right. This thing has been a companion. This blend is a soldier, okay? It's the ultimate English, in my opinion, because it's so simple that, how do I even put into words? It's so simple and straightforward that gives it nuance. It's so overt that it's covert, if that makes any sense. Wonderful, wonderful blend. It really is, for me, the standard of what an English blend should be. And it really has that lovely sort of tar, creosote taste that I love in an English blend. And for that reason, it is my number 1 of 4. Next up, another English blend. Samuel Gowith Squadron Leader. Okay, this thing is also a champ. It is a little bit more on the excuse me, on the light side, in my opinion. Some people think that this thing is really high in nicotine. I don't find it so. For me, it's just an incredibly balanced blend. It's not a Latakia bomb, much like the standard mixture is. It's mostly a beautiful marriage of your Virginias, your Latakias, your Orientals. I'm afraid to even use this term, but I really do get a lot of sort of like a fresh tilled earth or farmland, or even, for lack of a better term, a barnyard aroma. I'm not saying it smells like crap. It does not. Nor does it taste like it. In fact, it tastes delicious and briny and balanced. But this has a natural salt of the earth taste to it, like tilled earth, like, a freshly plowed field, like fresh morning dew on a farm, basically. You get that beautiful mixture. And honestly, I can't even tell you where it comes from. I have no idea how Samuel Gawith does its blends. I mean, it's one of the oldest existing, tobacco blenders in the world. And their machines are hundreds of years old as well. I have no clue how they put this thing together. Like the rest of the Gawith blends, it is incredibly wet. But hey, I'm not going to complain because this blend is delicious. If you want a thorough review of it, there's tons of people on YouTube that have provided one. Actually, one of the better reviews of it is Bradley from the Stuff and Things show. He does a review of it, a full review, and then years later he did a revisited episode. This thing is a must in anyone's rotation, and it is definitely one of my favorites. As far as English mixtures go, this one, I'm able to smoke it in warmer climates if I'm really leaning towards that flavor profile. Whereas I've tried smoking standard mixture in, the middle of summer, and I had a really hard time with it. So, the magic of Squadron Leader. Next up, we have Paterson University Flake. I didn't think I would like this one, but I found myself reaching for it more often than not over the course of the past year, especially during the summertime. This is a burley forward blend. It's a Virginia burley blend. Okay, let's say that. But it is very burley forward, and it has a plum topping. Some people say it's dark fruits. To me, it tastes kind of more like dark fruits, but the consensus on this is that it is a plum topping. Man, is it ever good. The nicotine on this is just right for me, and just the overall mouthfeel aroma, the taste of it, just everything about it hits me in all the right places, and this tobacco ticks all the boxes for me. Fantastic stuff. And last but not least, Samuel Gawith Full Virginia Flake. Wonderful blend. Again, harkening back to the Gawith blends, this thing is incredibly wet when you get it. It almost doesn't matter how long you dry it, in my experience. Your mileage may and certainly will vary. But in my experience, I could dry this out for like 2 hours and it'll still kind of burn a little bit wet on me. But you just have to adjust your technique. You have to adjust how you approach this blend. And if you're kind to it, it will be kind to you in return. Now this blend very much is a dark Virginia. You're not on the light grassy, citrusy, zesty spectrum of things. This very much is, bakery, bread, dark hay, fermented grass clippings, just so delicious. It's so pure, I find, compared to other, straight Virginia blends, and I simply can't get enough of it. Now, runners up. There's a few blends that I've considered adding to my list, but they just quite didn't make the cut. The first of which is Dunhill, or I guess now Paterson, my mixture 965. Tremendous blend. This one's a crowd pleaser, I find. Not only does it taste wonderful, I think that black Cavendish really kind of tones it down. Otherwise, who knows, maybe it'll taste a little bit more like standard mixture. But yeah, that black Cavendish and the proportion of Virginias I find and Orientals in this thing really make it a very nice blend, kind of an all-day smoke. The other one is the Royal Yacht, which is actually what I'm smoking right now. And stay tuned, because in a little bit I'm going to be sharing my review of Paterson's The Royal Yacht. I couldn't get a Dunhill tin of this. Everywhere in Ottawa I've been able to find original Dunhill tins and really enjoy them, just so I can have, have a try at the traditional flavor profiles of these blends before Paterson started making them. The Royal Yacht was the only one that I couldn't find. I couldn't find an original Dunhill, and I'm not going to pay, upwards of $100 on eBay or whatever to get an old tin, which is a bit of a shame. This was apparently a very popular blend here in Ottawa, according to all three of the tobacconists that I spoke to. This was the blend that they sold the most of. Those and the Frogmorton blends. And I've actually never tried the Frogmorton blends, so they're out of business now, I guess, the McClellans. Anyway, let me get back to this. So my mixture and the Royal Yacht. So while they're among my favorites, they didn't quite make the cut, because I find that I need to be in a specific mood to enjoy them. Now the other four that I listed, so the standard mixture, the Squadron Leader, University Flake, and Full Virginia Flake, I can, pretty much almost always grab and enjoy, and I'll feel fulfilled and satisfied, depending on the time of year, of course, because like I said, I'm very much a seasonal smoker. But with those four blends that I just listed, if I don't know what I want to smoke, then I can pretty much always reach for one of those, and the world will be right again. So of my four baseline blends, the four favorite blends that I listed, the one that lends itself to my palate year round, right? So this is my YearRound Blend, is University Flake. Okay, the Burley and Virginia marriage is awesome, and in the colder months, the earthiness of the Burleys come out for me, but they're kept in check by the light sweetness of the Virginias that are only barely managing to come through. So that's what I get, in the colder months when I smoke it. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that Virginias especially behave a little bit differently according to the relative humidity. So here in Ottawa, when it's minus 30 degrees Celsius and it feels like minus 40 with the wind chill, the humidity can get as low as like 15%, on any given day. I mean, I look at the hygrometer in my violin case and it's often just below the 20 mark. So it's pretty dry. And I personally find that Virginias don't do as well in drier climates. And maybe it's because the natural sugars, in Virginias don't get to hit that kind of viscosity point, if you know what I mean, that makes them flow like molasses. Or again, maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. But in any case, I find that Virginia tobaccos don't do well in the winter for me, whereas they shine in the summer and warmer months. Or generally speaking, in warmer environments, right? I'm smoking the Royal Yacht right now, but I'm smoking it next to a really warm fireplace and in an enclosed environment, and I'm actually quite warm, and the Virginias are really coming through right now in this environment. If I were to step outside right now, completely different story. I find that the flavor would fall through on the Virginias. But then again, that's just me. right? So when I smoke, the Paterson's University Flake in the winter, the burleys take it over, right? Because the Virginias kind of fall flat depending on if I'm smoking it indoors or how dry it is, the relative humidity, how high or low it is. So when I'm smoking University Flake in the winter, the burley takes it over, and the Virginias and the plum / dark fruit top notes are only there to kind of support the very tasty and solid burley tobacco. And the opposite in the summertime, I'm really hip with that heavy and yeasty or bakery tasting Virginia. It's very sweet, so it's a very sweet Virginia, in my opinion, but not in that bright grassiness, zingy, citrus, raisin flavor. It's sweet in more of like that yeasty, bready sort of sweetness, right? They're darker Virginias, right? So again, yeah, in the summertime, it's the yeasty bakery Virginia sweetness as well as the top notes that kind of take it over in this blend. And then for me, the burley kind of takes a back step, kind of goes on the back burner, and it just provides a robust foundation upon which, the Virginias and the top notes can really take over. So for me, the summer months, the warmer weather, it brings out a different side to University Flake. I find that it burns a little bit wetter than it does in the winter, and maybe that's because of the sugars in the Virginias that are finally able to flow like molasses, or maybe it's the top note that has a better chance of coming through. But in any case, this blend is fruitier in the summer than it is in the winter. So I've noticed that, little point there. Disclaimer though, this blend is somewhat high in nicotine all year round. That doesn't change. So if you're hoping that, the nicotine level or the nicotine hit will be different depending on the relative humidity and the heat in the environment that you find yourself, no, it's pretty strong year round. So there you have it, my favorite blends, and among them, my only year-round blend so far. I'm curious to know what your favorites are and what your year-round blends or your year-round blend or blends are as well. So let me know if you like. And I've been told by some of the followers that I have and know that I should be petitioning for you all to like, share, and subscribe. So please do that. Feel free to use this as a starting point or a discussion point amongst yourselves or with your friends. And let me know what you think. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you have a great evening, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.